one screw on the other side or another, it doesn't matter. Same deal. Taking a picture of me dancing?
No, video.
Well, okay, video, okay. All right, so another thing you think about is if you move the square root over to the equal side, you change the sign, right? So either way, if you want to subtract it or you can move it, that doesn't matter. So let's using what Gavin said. So we have bringing this down to x square root of x plus 17, 6 minus 1 minus x, right? So everybody with me so far, okay? All right. What do we need to do next?
Square both sides.
Now we square both sides, right? Okay. So square of x plus 17 square 6 minus 1 minus x square, right? Here's the deal. Back to what I'm saying. I'm writing all the formula. Every time you see a plus b square, right? Or a minus b, yeah, square. You can do the fourth. Or the easiest thing to do is, what is this equal to?
A squared plus 2ab plus b squared.
B squared, right? And then what about the bottom one? A squared.
plus b squared.
A squared what?
Plus b squared.
Minus the
Minus,
Oh, yeah.
right? Because it has a minus.
minus 2a.
Right, yeah, minus 2ab
Oh,
plus b squared, right? So again, the only difference is that if it's positive, everything is positive. It's negative, just a minus 2ab. If you want to verify it, you can do a fourth. It will be the same thing, right? Okay, so this one, square root of the square. So,
X plus 7.
yep, that disappeared. This one, we can use that formula, right?
36
Okay, so we 36
minus
minus,
12.
well, 2ab, right? So it will be
12 square root of 1.
well, yeah, let's say 6 times 2 square root 1 minus x, right? Just leave it like that. So, yeah. And then this one is what?
Plus 1 negative.
Right? Because this square root square, then the square root disappear, right? Okay, now we can combine them all together, right? So x plus 17, like I said, the rest become the like a algebraic expression. So it's not pre-calculus. From here to here, pre-calculus, right? But down here, you already solve it, right? So just keep going it, and the rest is simple, simplified, right? So minus 12 square root 1 minus x plus 1 minus x, right? So now just simplify it, right? So okay, let's take a look and see. We have bring x over to one side, right? So we have plus x here. So we have plus x here with 2x, right? Okay, so now we simplify 36 and 1 will be 37, right? And then here we have the minus 17. So we're going to subtract 37 from both sides, right? So minus 20 equal to minus of 12 square root of 1 minus x, right? Okay? So yeah, so just basically nothing fancy. From here, just make sure that just be careful. Like back to like high school, right? You do any kind of algebraic expression, we keep track of x over here. So you move x to one side, so you can have 2x. Move all the constant, right? 37. You subtract on here, you have 20, and then keep the side that has the square root on one side, because you want to square again to get rid of the square root, right? Well, but now to make things easy for us,
Divided by 12.
exactly right, because you can square both sides, but now this number getting bigger. But look at this. If you factor out, again, this is moving up here, running out of rule. So 2, yeah,
X minus 10.
10, okay, equal to what?
12.
12 square root of
Minus
1 minus x, right? Okay, so what I like to do is from this point on, just follow what, because you already know what to do, right? Just make sure that be very careful about the size, about the if you square, keep track of all the numbers, right? So because sometimes you make some mistakes here and there. You don't want to get 1 or 2 points off because you know how to do this problem, right? just be careful, right? So now we divide both sides by 2. So x minus 10 minus 6, 1 minus x. Okay. Now, what do we need to do next?
Square it again.
Exactly right. Yeah. You see, that's why I said it's sort of like you know your target. You know you have all the tools and everything to get there, right? But the road might be a little bit wide, right? A little bit like it's not like it's just, but you get there eventually. So it takes some time. So to solve this problem, the first question, 5 points, it's a piece of cake, right? It takes you no more than maybe 30, 40 seconds, right, to get the domain. That's easy, 5 points, right? This one, it takes some time, maybe a couple of minutes, but it's not difficult, right? You just know the solution for the problem here is to square both sides so that we can get the, get rid of the square root. Once you get rid of the square root, yep. So now just continue on that one. So you square both sides, right? So this one minus 6, 1 minus 2 squared. Now here's a lot of people, that's why I said be very careful about it, because a lot of people make this kind of mistakes. Is that when you see it, this square is the whole thing square. So therefore, we have minus 6 square, right? And 1 minus x square, right? So some people just keep the 6 right here, and you square, and you get rid of the square root, but you don't square the minus 6. That's a problem, because when you have, remember, we have a times b squared. That's a squared times b squared, not just a times b squared, right? So in this case, the a is the minus 6. You need to make sure that you square the minus 6. So we square it, that's 36, right? And here we get rid of the square, 1 minus x, right? And over here, we use this formula again, right? So yes, x squared, what? Minus what? 20x, yeah? And plus?
100.
100, right? So I don't want to solve this whole thing out, but now it becomes like a quadratic equation, right? When you solve this whole thing here, because it's great, I'm going to give you a solution, so we don't want to take too much time. But when you solve that, you're going to have, so x will be equal to minus 8, right? Will be the solution. Now, the key thing here is you want to take this one, the final step is to validate this, to make sure this satisfies this function, right? So you take the minus 8 and you put it in here. So minus 8 plus 17 minus 8 minus 9. We say, okay, so this one becomes 9, right? So square root of 9 plus this one, I'm going to erase this one a little bit. Okay, so this one will be 1 minus 8, right? So it will be minus 9.
Should be.
Oh, sorry. So minus of minus will be plus, right? So it will be 1, so it will be square root of 9. Okay? Square root of 9 plus square root of 9 will be 6. So my x equal to minus 8 is the solution for this one, right? Now, if you have two solutions and one you test it out and it works okay, that's good. The other one might not be the right solution, then you can eliminate one of the solutions, right? So again, 3 steps for this one. The first one is to find the domain. Easy, piece of cake, right? You can just make sure that anything under the square root had to be greater or equal to 0, because that's not, if we have the rational function with the quotient, then the denominator cannot be equal to 0. Yeah. So, but in this case, we have this rational function that's greater or equal to 0, so we solve for that. The second one is just make sure when you see square root, the way to get rid of square root is put everything into one side and square root on the other side and then square from both sides in order to get rid of the square root. And if you have 2 square roots, do it 2 times. And once you do it 2 times, you might have some quadratic equation here. Use the quadratic formula, solve it, and then finally test it, like 3 steps. Are we good, Mr. Salvatore?
Did it, and then it's not a quadratic equation.
Oh, yeah, so it could be, you factor it out, right? So you can do x plus 8 square, right? Yeah. So yeah, but it's still like that. But in this case, remember we just talked about problem 1, the multiplicity of 2. This is another case of multiplicity of 2. Yeah. So yeah, so in this case we will have just one solution, but it's have multiplicity of 2. Okay? Are we good?
I was just,
Yes,
I'm
Mr.
down there in the corner still trying to figure out.
Right here?
Negative 8,
Yeah. Well, when you saw this one here, Michael, yeah, just combine it. Yeah.
yeah. So we're just gonna skip that.
Yeah, so I just skip that because at this point your algebraic just solved because we have total 30 questions. So yeah, this one have enough time to cover. So the key thing I like you to do is that I want to show you how to solve the problem, and anything about like algebraic or some of the arithmetic thing. I'll give you the answer. You can validate that. But to solve this whole thing, spend the time. Well, we can skip that. But we want to emphasize on how to solve the problem like that, right? Yes, Mr. Jerry.
So will I call x equals negative 8 the answer, or should I just plug it in and then show the algebra?
That's right. Okay, so if you say that, okay, if this is x equal to minus 8, and you plug it in, and then you have this equal to 6, check. So that means x equal to minus 6 is the answer. Yeah. So if you have another one, let's say assume x equal to 5, for example. Well, then you plug in here and say this one is square root of 22. This one is like a square root of 4. Well, square root of 2 plus 2 is not equal to 6, and therefore 5 is not an answer. I just use an example, right? So you might have a situation that one of the x values might not be the answer. Okay? Yes.
And does that answer have to be within the domain? 5, obviously. All right, I got you.
X minus 8, yes. So
So it
yeah,
has to be.
x minus 8 is in the domain. So therefore, it is one of the answers. Yeah. So that's another good point. Yeah. So what Gavin said is that if you say, okay, like I said, in my case, I said, if x equal to 5, well, right there, you look at it, hey, x equal to 5 is not in the domain. You don't need to do a test. You say that's not supposed to be, in this group, right? So, excellent point. Mr. Gavin. All right, yeah. Mr. MD might catch up with Mr. George Washington. He's kind of
I don't
with
wanna
the
get
white hawks, you're cruising along there. Yeah, to catch up with him, yeah. So, right now, the problem when you see on your test, and I can almost say with 99.99% certainty, you see some form like this. Again, just ask yourself, okay, first of all, they ask about the domain, right? Solve the domain. Second one, okay, we need to get rid of the square root. Go through this. Third one, once you have an answer, plug it in to make sure that it is in the domain and it satisfies the condition. Okay, we good, Mr. Barak? All right, okay. So far, so good, right? So, got 20 points so far. Nothing less, right? So that's no reason that you can get anything less than 20 points. So the next one is now to we will use the material on Unit 2 about trig function. Again, what I like to do is put the problem on the board and just ask yourself what kind of formula or how you approach the problem. That's a key thing. Always ask yourself how you solve the problem first before you attempt anything, right? Once you get the right, go into the right direction using the right tool, you'll get there, right? You're galloping to get there. Okay, so the next one is a trig function. I'm going to put it up here and see what we need to do. Okay, all right. On this side here, I would like to put some important formula that you need to know, and we use this side to solve problems, right? Okay, so this one, they say that solve the equation. Okay, so when you hear the word solve the equation, that means you have to solve for the variable, either x, y, theta, whatever. You need to solve for that, right? So solve the equation of x sine of x minus 2 sine x cosine x equal to 0. And then the interval that we have here is 0 to 2 pi, right? Okay, so, so here is the equation. And, you know, they want you to do it within this interval, right? Okay, so the first thing that comes to your mind when you say solve the equation, what do you need to do? Just try something. Yeah, say, okay, how do you go about doing this? To say, okay, solve this equation.
What solve for x?
That's right, okay? Mr. MB. So far, how do you solve for x? When you look at this, how do you solve for x?
I get x by itself. Get x by itself.
Exactly right. So that means x had to be equal to something, right? Okay, so we are on the right approach. So first of all, we have to solve. Well, when you look at this, what is the pattern that you recognize? Well, but first of all, what he has something in common here? Right. So when, you know, every time when you solve something for x, remember this, you know, you have x minus 1 something, let's say x minus 2 something equal to 0. So basically, you might want to say x1, you solve each one of the product, right? So, like for example, so x1 minus 5, x2 minus 7 equal to 0. Then the product shows that at each element of the product has to be equal to 0, right? So if that's the case, then you can just solve for, right? If this x minus 1 equal to, x1 minus 5 equal to 0, then x1 equal to 5, and this one is x2 equal to 7, things like that, right? So now if you use that concept, if you look here, you have x, you want to solve for x, but you have these two things seem to be common. What can we do?
Factor the sign.
Now we can factor the sign, right? So we can factor x, and then we have 1 minus 2 cosine of x equal to 0. So now, does it look like what we have here? That's right, yeah. So now we have a product that equal to 0. Then either this one, sine of x equal to 0, or 1 minus 2 cosine of x equal to 0, right? Right? Mr. Ahmad. Nope. I make it the automobile. Okay. Yeah. You know, like that.
That's that for.
Let's cosine of
That's
x.
right. Yeah, it's dry off. Yes.
Let's cosine of x equals a half.
Well, you know, 1 second. Okay.
Yeah.
So right now, everybody okay from here to here, right? So again, what Ahmad says is very important. Is it what first you recognize, like Sean said, okay, we have to solve for x. Okay, we agree. How do you solve for x? We have to put it into some kind of, you know, product so that, you know, we have both sides equal to 0. Well, then if we factor the sine of x, if the sine of x times a product equal to 0, then we have sine of x equal to 0, or 1 minus cosine of x is equal to 0, right? So from here over here. Now, can we solve for this? Mm-hmm. Yes. So now we see, okay, if x equals 0, so now ask ourselves, well, remember you are allowed to use the unit function, right? Okay. So where I don't need to do, but in the unit function, sine of x equal to 0 in this interval at what value?
Pi 2.
Exactly right. So we have x equal to pi over 2 and
3 pi over 2.
3 pi over 2, right? Because these two are in this interval. And we know from our unit circle that we have two solutions. That's very important because when you have, like what we talk about, what to emphasize is, when you solve for x, right? Okay, you will have multiple solutions because, you know, in the unit circle, at the same point, you can go multiple times, right? If they ask you, in this interval, you have two solutions. Let's assume they ask you in this interval, how many solutions do we have?
4.
4. What did I assume? What's the next one?
Okay.
Exactly right. You take pi over 2 plus 2 pi, right? For this one. And then you have another one, 3 pi, yeah, over 2 plus 2 pi, right?
I'm going 360.
Exactly, right. So
Anytime
keep going,
those
right?
signs, negative 1 or 1.
Yes.
it'd be 0.
Well, I'm just using it so you got the concept, right?
Yeah.
So if they ask you, one second, depending on, you know how to solve the problem, but once you have the solution, you want to check in your interval. Now, using another trick, let's say they say just 0 to pi. How many solutions?
1.
One solution, right? Just pi over 2, because this one is outside of the interval. So therefore, we don't get this one. So once you have a solution, always ask yourself, is this solution inside the interval? It's like Gavin talked about earlier, right? Is this a solution inside the domain, right? So if it is inside the domain, then it is a solution. It could be, like in this case, we have 2 solutions, because 2 of them are inside the domain, right? Okay. Right, so let's do this, continue. Are we finished with this problem? No. What's the next one?
Cosine x equals.
That's right.
Half.
Right.
Half.
With our friend over here, right? So we want to have solve this one. We have cosine of x equal to 1 over 2, right?
Yep.
Back to the.
1 over 3.
That's right. So what with the unit circle? So we have x equal to pi over 3. And then what's the next one?
5 pi over 3.
And x equal to 5 pi over 3, right? Are these inside the interval?
Yep.
So put adding together, how many solutions are there?
4.
4, right? So yeah, so just summarize very quickly, 1 second. Once you see this problem, we know we have to solve for x, right? They can do it like a sine of theta or sine of y, whatever, doesn't matter, because that's the angle. X just happen to be a variable, right? Theta, y, t, whatever, right? So you know, okay, we have to solve that problem. Now, in order to solve the problem, we want to put it in some kind of product function because we want to have both sides to be equal to 0, right? So if we put it into this format, then okay, just solve algebraically, because we know that, you know, if a times b equal to 0, then either a equal to 0 or b equal to 0, right? So once you have this format, you say, okay, psi equal to 0 or 1 minus 2, good. Once we have these two together, we can solve for, you know, using the unit circle. We got these two, and we ask ourselves whether it's in the interval. It's in the interval. We have all the solution. Let me.
I just want to say psi pi over 2 is not 0, it's 1.
Pi.
Sine
Psi pi over 2.
Oh, sine pi over 2.
That's
Yeah.
what I was trying to get.
It's not pi over 2.
It's not, yeah, it's 0 and pi.
0.
I thought it was pi.
It's pi and 2 pi.
Pi.
But it's almost.
Pi and 2
Mr. Ahmed, who gave me this solution?
What about 2 pi?
Already.
Oh,
One cosine, I mean,
Yeah,
one
without
cosine
shot.
1
Plus
is
cosine,
right? 0.
look at this.
But don't think Maryland.
Yes, no,
Don't think MD.
Okay, we start right here, right? This one is 1, 0,
That's wrong.
right? So this one right here is 0,
Yeah,
1,
that's right.
right?
We were right.
Negative 1, 0.
But we were right.
This one.
No, and pi.
Sine 0.
And pi right here?
When sine is
Yes.
0.
Yes, so it would be minus
it's either
1,
cosine
0,
is
right?
1
Yeah, but
or cosine negative 1.
Okay.
So it's going to be a
So-
0 or pi.
So this one is the cosine, right? And this one is the sine.
Yeah.
So the sine of
Your
0 is
pi
1.
over 2, it's 1. And then
what about
It's
2
here.
pi?
And here, right?
2 pi is right back at 0, so sine's going to be 0.
Yeah.
But when you had pi over 2, that means sine's 1. When you have 3 pi over 2, sine's negative 1. You're trying to get it to equal 0.
Right.
So you're either 180 or 0 on the axis. I said it. I was
So
like,
no,
I'll
okay.
let him keep going.
Mr. MD, we'll give MD
I'll
the,
let you solve it. I was like, I don't know what to do.
and then a biscotti too. Yeah, here we go. All right, breakfast. Yeah, here you go. All right. Oh, sorry. Oh, no.
Rogue.
What's that?
It tastes the same.
Oh, I don't
No,
I'm
no,
not going to share a piece with him.
And then, that's right, yeah. So here's, get this one now. Yeah, right. So, all right. Now, who gave me the answer? I have to subtract the pi over 2.
The,
Yeah.
the bad answer.
The right answer, right? Yeah, like
I don't know who
so,
said it.
okay, by this point, you should, again, you can use your unit circle because your unit circle should be on your index card, right? If you don't, just draw this one. Like I said, it's very simple. Start here, 1, 0, 0, 1, minus 1, 0, and down here is 0, minus 1, right?
Yeah.
So, the first one is cosine, second one is sine. Well, here is sine equals to 0, this one right here, and this point. So it's 0 and pi. 0 and pi, right? We good? And then we verify this one's correct?
Yep.
We good? All right, okay. So, very quickly, we have 4 solutions to this problem, right? Okay? And they're all good, right? Mr. Salvatore, have a question? Ah, okay. Okay, so, all right, so.
I told him it was the right answer.
Oh,
but I didn't
wow.
wanna say
So
it.
let's see. Jerry told Salvatore. Salvatore whispered to Dre, right? Yeah. And then he said the hand. He got the biscotti. All right. So we have like a, all the team effort over here. But yeah. So next time, Jerry, if you know the answer,
But I thought I was missing some.
you're missing something.
That's why I didn't put it.
You're missing the chocolate. That's what's missing.
Oh.
All right. So are we good? So again, so this one. So right now, so far, so good. One final thing, just to be very, you can always, like I said, that you can always double check your answer by using your calculator, right? So if you say, okay, well, first of all, make sure that all these things, you can put in your, let's say, put in your calculator, right? 0, so sine of 0 is what?
0 by 0.
Sine of 0 is 0, right? Minus 2, sine of 0, anything 0 over here is the whole thing times 0, right? So therefore we have a 0 here. So again, you can validate that with your calculator or whatever, just to be sure, right? When you have time, right? Again, in the interest of time, because you have 2 hours, 30 questions, time moves very fast. If you feel pretty sure that you got the answer, move on to the next one. But once you finish everything and you have a little bit of time, you can go back and check all your solutions with your calculator, right? Again, I highly recommend, don't need to finish your test and leave an hour earlier. You don't get any extra credit by giving the test an hour earlier. Use every time that you got, right?
If you spend this much time on this problem, skip it.
Exactly right. Yeah, you might need all the time get all the 30 questions correct, right? The key thing is to get the correct answer. We're not competing for time here, right? So okay, having the Tesla or Lamborghini, this is not a Formula One, right? This is just like a pre-calculus test. So we just want to make sure we get the right answer, right? So any questions so far about this, Mr. MD?
So we beat sine to death. For
Yes.
cosine,
All right,
x
cosine.
equals 1/2.
Yeah, from here to here, you okay,
Yeah.
right?
I'm okay from there.
Yeah,
But
and
where,
cosine 1/2. Okay,
why go
using
with the pi, with the x equaling pi over 3 and x equals 5 pi over 2?
yeah.
That's where it's
Cosine of 1/2. That's what.
Okay.
Yeah, remember this one. If you want to be fancy, you could do this. X equals cosine of 1/2. Yeah.
Just have to put it
So
in
what's it
interval.
arc?
You
Cosine.
have to put it- you have to put it- It just has to put it in interval, the little.
That's right.
0,
The
5,
same thing.
3,
Yeah.
5, 5, 5.
So let me see. You have the unit circle with you?
trying to see if you can put it
Oh, yeah. I wasn't thinking of radians, I was thinking of
Are they gonna make us answer half angle?
What's that?
Half angle problems.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Put them together and
I
sort
forgot.
of the answer.
Are they gonna-
You got it?
Yeah.
If you don't get it, just look at this.
Yeah.
So here,
Worst case
Pi
scenario,
over 3.
you just substitute pi.
it's right there. Yeah. So and then once you have here, always the cosine. Remember, if you have a solution on the cosine here, there is another one. Right across from the x-axis, right? And the y, the same thing. If you have a solution here,
I mean,
you have another one on the other side. Okay?
It's the opposite of What
All
I
right.
do is I substitute 180 in for pi
You
minus
have them
1.
together, like.
So,
you have
are we
them
good?
together and
Yeah.
then-
Yeah, all right.
Oh, so
Mister.
it's like,
Can we do half angle problems?
Since you asked, you shall receive, right here. Okay, all right, so here, for our friend, this is just for you, all right? So,
Alright.
now, okay, I will remove all these things also, we don't need these. Okay, half angle, our friend right here.
That's your friend.
So, here's the question, okay, just for you.
Oh,
Find the appropriate identity to evaluate the expression of sine of 15 degree. Again, we talk about degrees, right? Radian degree, we keep track of that. So, what's your initial?
So,
Is it S?
my teacher didn't go over it.
Oh, okay, well, what's your initial again? M, something.
Is that S?
S, what's your last name?
Cecil.
Yes, SM. SM or FM.
Sanctuary.
Yeah, okay,
XM.
so, all right.
XM.
So that's SM, right?
XM radio, that's what it
XM.
is.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
XM, right, yeah.
XM.
Satellite, yeah. Okay,
So-
so we have sine of 15 degrees. Now, if we want to use a half degree angle, what will we do? You use the formula first. I will put a formula here. So if we have a sine of a over 2, what is that equal to?
Plus or minus 1 minus cosine of a divided by 2.
Okay, 1 minus
Cosine,
cosine of what?
a.
Yeah.
Sine A.
Taylor. All right. Get one more chocolate.
No.
Oh, you want biscotti? Oh,
No,
yeah.
the granola bar.
Granola bar. Okay, she's in a healthy diet. See. Okay.
Helps her think.
So, anybody have any questions, any dispute about that formula? Are we good? So how come she remember how come you remember the formula and some of our friends are not remember? So you might want to,
Wrote my index card, so.
oh, you've got an index card.
I mean,
okay.
I just wrote it so I remember.
Okay, so now back to SM here. How do you apply that formula over here? What is that equal to?
That equals to.
So how do you, knowing this, how do you apply that, just one second, because our friend here asked the question, how do you change the 15 degree to the half angle?
30 over 2, right?
Exactly right, okay,
30.
so let's moving along. 30 over 2,
So meaning
Now-
A equals 30, right?
yes, so J-Lo here just gave us a formula. How do you apply that formula over here?
so it's plus or minus.
Yeah, so if
So plus or
putting the
minus
plus or
root of-
minus for now, okay? 1 minus what?
30
Okay,
divided by.
cosine, right?
Yeah, cosine
30 degree over what?
2.
2. Okay, now here's a question. Do we? Okay, Mr. Ahmed,
Change
Ahmed
co-
Mobile, moving very fast.
Change cosine of
Ready
30.
for Formula 1 here. Why is a plus? Why we eliminate